rights and also, the responsibilities of landlords and tenants. The two gentlemen right next to me here is a name that I always find it very difficult to pronounce. I don't know whether it's Joachim or Joachim. He will tell us. Omboy, who's the founder and chairperson of the Landlords and Tenants Association of Kenya. And equally, we have the Secretary General of the Landlords and Tenants Association of Kenya. That is Ben Liai. Gentlemen, thank you so much for creating time to be with us. To say many Joachim, Mama Joachim. Joachim. Softly. It is good to have you. You are handling quite a dicey sector. You must agree. Dealing with tenants who will come to you and tell you that, we have not been able to get our deposit back, or we are having difficulties with the landlords here and there. And equally at the same time, you have to protect the rights of this very landlord.
Yes.
Just how is this possible? One would have expected that perhaps we have an association for tenants and we have an association for landlords, but this is a conglomeration of these two entities.
Mediation. It is factors all about mediation.
Right.
If we could have gotten two identities, and then we could have stemmed up the conflict. But now, bringing landlords and tenants together, it creates a very good platform where people can understand how to coexist. That's why we started this organization, to make sure people understand. Landlords and Tenants Association of Kenya is all about giving solutions to Kenyans.
Right.
Solutions is very important so that at least people can live in peace and harmony. We have three pillars in Landlords and Tenants Association of Kenya. We give solutions. People have to understand tenancy laws, how to coexist, and also how to make sure maybe they start peace and also business in terms of depending from landlords and tenants.
Okay.
In this sector, there is law. We have two areas of explanation, that is Cap 296. It stipulates about residential buildings. This is where we have a problem in Kenya. Residential premises, people don't even follow law. Last time we talked about the same issue, and I even said Kenyans are ignorant. They don't seem to follow law. So that's why we came out and said, people must have to understand there are courts, there are tribunal courts, we are there, and the law must be followed. But now you see both parties, like now landlords, they don't follow law. Tenants, sometimes they don't follow law.
Right.
For example, right now I have more than 100 cases in court. Landlords are prepared to evict tenants from their houses, just going, locking a house, closing water, electricity, just anyhow. It's unfortunate because it never works like that.
Right.
So we are trying to come between the two to make sure they have to understand, and they must understand that a tenant is a very important person, and also the landlord. So issues of jumping and doing things, it's unfortunate. That's why we are pushing the government at least to go deep and understand Landlords and Tenants Act. They come up and maybe we coexist. We try to find what are the areas that we need to contribute so that at least tenants understand their roles, duties and the responsibilities, and also landlords understand their roles and the responsibilities. Like now, notices. People don't understand notices are supposed to be given.
Right. We hold it at that very point and come back to you later. But then, Ben, if we are to address some of these matters at a point of understanding, it would be a very good thing. Why do you suppose there's, not much interest in getting to understand the laws? Okay. Because if we're going to have the Landlord and Tenant Act, if we're going to have the acts and the laws of Kenya as well speaking to these matters, yet there's very little knowledge about this, then it means that there is a concern. Yeah. Why is it so at this point?
Okay, maybe I'll just, first of all, good morning, viewers. Maybe I'd say, just like from what the chairman has said, number one, there's the issue of people not wanting to get to know more information about what they do. Yep. Not only on landlord tenancy matters, but even in just the general environment it's always very important for you to be able to know exactly what you need to know in every, issue you undertake or something of the sort. If I may just quote maybe from the Bible, it says that my people will perish because of lack of knowledge. And exactly that is the situation. So most people, they only come to understand about the law when there's a conflict, when a conflict arises, and maybe they're like, who is going to help me? Then they realize, let me go and Google landlords, online. So when they go Google, then that's where they get our contacts. And that's the time that maybe probably a landlord realizes that as much as the property is his, he's not supposed to lock the lock the door, maybe remove the iron sheet or whatever, or maybe the door or some sort. And again, that's the time again maybe probably also the tenant realizes that it's his or her duty to pay rent on time as agreed within the lease. So the issue of people of awareness is, let me just say it's self-inflicted because people just do not want to find out what is actually there. However, as an association, we are taking it into a mantle that we need to go out there and create this awareness so that people can actually understand that the housing sector or maybe the tenancy sector has laws that do govern. Actually, many people do not know that these laws exist. Yes.
And how much are you doing, or what are you doing as an association to get people to a point of understanding? Because that also is crucial. As much as we'd say it's a prerogative of the government, or perhaps the people themselves to, just get to enlighten themselves. How much is being done, especially in the aspect of civic education?
Okay. In terms of the association, I'd say this is something that we are taking it step by step. We're actually planning to launch maybe officially so that we can be able to start outreach programs. On all sorts of media, be it old media and new media, and we're expecting that at least we'll be able to reach quite a bigger number of Kenyans concerning the tenancy laws. But at the moment, most of the time we rely on social media, and of course, like now coming to places like now your station here, and maybe other places. And of course, we also have, we have some of our staffs who go out there maybe on a daily basis. Maybe probably they try to find out, maybe creating surveys in different areas on what exactly is happening. So, but we know we have a lot that we need to do when it comes to creating awareness. Of these laws, yes.
So there's an aspect as to where people can be members of the association.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah,
we'll come to that.
Yes.
We'll come to that on how then one can join in and become a member of the association, because that as well is crucial. Perhaps these are the very same individuals that would spread the word out there. But we are at a time where we are still, discussing the budget. We're still discussing the Finance Act, which is in court and speaks largely to the aspect of housing, which as well falls in this very docket. How do you suppose this has impacted, the landlords and the tenants so far? Because then we always are looking forward to see the budget allocations, what the budget will be like, so that we know the next financial year is like this and this for this sector, for your sector.
Yeah, when they did this budget, we were not consulted. That's number one, because we usually collect views of our tenants and landlords, the way they want things to be done. We are not certified by the government giving services to our landlords. That's why in Nairobi, we decided to go to court. We went to court to stop Sakaja not increasing rates so that we can discuss these things. In terms of budget, they could have consulted so that at least we know in housing what's supposed to be done. We need to have the proper data of people who need houses so that we can do statistics and calculate what's needed in the budget. But it was not consulted. Also, we have proposed to have a summit because of this budget implication from the government. We have consulted and we are going to have a landlord summit. It's a convention that we are going to do there about November, October. This is where we are going to lay down what are the concerns. Landlords have to exercise their right to speak. The services from the government, drainage system, lighting, environment, sewer lines, all those so that at least once we bring them together, then we can talk about budget, how much is needed, how much is the rates, monthly rent, taxes. Yeah, so there's a very big gap from the government in terms of civic education and reaching us and also the landlords. It's something that has been assumed. Even the Landlords and Tenants Act 2021, it was shelved the last parliament.
Right.
We proposed, we pushed very hard. Kimunya proposed it, Sakaja proposed it. Then they decided to discuss it. Somehow on the run, it was shelved. So we are urging parliamentarians at least to come out and speak about this Landlords and Tenants Act 2021,
right.
so that at least we consolidate our 5 million landlords, what is supposed to be done in terms of housing.
Right.
You remember in Kilimani and Kileleshwa, there's an issue, there's a very serious concern of high-rise buildings. It's not supposed to be done. There must be consultation, what's supposed to be done, how many people around that area, what are the needs, so that when somebody wants to build a house, it measures what's the requirement, standards of that area.
Yeah.
But it never happens. Why? Because the government, there's a gap. So in terms of budget, we are not okay. We are not okay because landlords, if they, rates, they have increased rates.
Right.
And these rates, they are going to affect the tenants, not even landlords. Landlord will receive the rates, then they hand over to the landlords, to the tenants. It's not good. So there's a contention. We have not come out clearly, but we are having a summit. This is where we are going to discuss about policies, what's going to govern the tenancy sector as a whole. And also we are requesting the government, once we are going to have the summit, that is October, we are requesting the government to come on board so that we discuss. Even they don't understand how to do this data. For example, if you go to housing ministry, nobody can tell you how many houses we have in this country, how many landlords we have in this country, what are the inputs to the government taxes, what is it? They don't. So we need to have a very good mechanism so that we cannot leave anything out. So that time we are going to articulate on policies in terms of finances, what is supposed to be done, affordable housing, what is supposed to be done, how many people need houses. Like now, if I ask Linda in Kibera, Kongoya, Mombasa, Nyarenda, Kisumu, many other shanties we have in this country.
Right.
Like now, if you go to Kibera there, you find affordable houses. They started building those houses far away from Kibera slums. They have not consulted the landlords who are owning the Kibera, whichever the permission from the government. They have to consult. Then you saw what the former CS devolution, the Waiguru, went to Kibera, came with the new strategies, putting roads, drainage system, toilets, and all this. So what we want right now, the challenges that we have, they have to come to an end. We need, like Kibera, people go there, the government has to go there, we have to go there and consult the landlords, how many landlords, so that we can face Kibera. We discuss with landlords how much is the finances, what's supposed to be done, so that we can bring this issue of rent to own to the people.
Okay.
Then we are going to reduce these shanties, crime will come down, and at least life will go up. So
rent
in terms
to own.
of rent to own, so the finance bill, all the finances in this sector has never been discussed well.
Right, as should be. Rent to own, perhaps to expound it further.
Yes.
And maybe that in relation as well to the government's intention of making sure that at least there's affordable housing and that eventually most of the people will own houses. Just how important of a factor will it be in addressing these concerns that we have as to the future of housing today?
Okay, basically, that's a great move for by the government to maybe facilitate its citizens to eventually own houses, and especially on rent to own. And of course, His Excellency the President has come out clear to say that a small amount will be paid as deposit, and then they'll be able to pay monthly rent. Now, I think that's a measure that is going to mitigate on now the issue of the finance bill. Remember, at the moment, what we're experiencing is that the effects of finance bill means that tenants are going to spend a lot of money on buying food, stuff and all that. And we're going to have a bit of conflicts here and there in terms of rent defaults and all that. But then, given time, if the government fast tracks its agenda of affordable housing, then it will be a reprieve now for most of the tenants to get into those houses, pay less, and again, eventually own their houses. And give or take maybe 10 years down the line, or maybe 20 years down the line by 2030, I think Kenyans will be feeling good about, of course, the steps that are being taken by the government in terms of, rent to own. But again, the government will not do enough. We also expect the private sector to come also into play. Like for instance, one of our pillars is housing solution.
Right.
So within the housing solution, we work closely with the developers and partners in a way that we try to help them out come up with affordable houses. How do we do this? Because we relate with different types of sectors, let me say the cement manufacturers, the furniture manufacturers and all that. So we try to negotiate on their behalf for the cost to come down so that when these developers take on constructing their developments, at least it becomes a little bit less costly.
Yeah.
And again, we also give them, they can leverage on our members in a way that, in terms of taking, maybe having off-takers to be able to buy those units, but again, in an agreed way that they can actually get in, long period, payment period, and then rent to own. And again, on the other side, of course, we also have financiers that we partner with, who can actually give these loans that can be paid within a very long period of time, maybe 10 years or 20 years. So basically, the rent-to-own issue is, this is where the business is, and this is a sector where we're expecting to get more people getting employed. So I believe people, or let me say Kenyans should get, they should get now serious with this. They should invest in it because now there's that goodwill coming from the government that will also be very paramount.
Well, fair enough. And let's agree that that is a long-term approach to the concerns that we have today. And it's quite noble only if we get it right. But even before it comes to that point, we have to face the concerns that we have today. We have to acknowledge what it is that you did during the time of COVID-19. You came in handy, to speak on behalf of the Kenyans who had lost their jobs, were going through tough times. It's never been stable since then. We've never gotten back, we've not bounced back as should be. Today, Kenyans will tell you they are going through very difficult times. Most of the people are defaulting. Most of the people are not paying rent. Just what are some of the ways of making sure that this aspect of mitigation then serves the purpose of making sure, again, that we do not have the concerns that we have witnessed, like what it is that you started by raising. We do not want a scenario where someone's house is closed, but at the same time, we have to take concern of the landlord who equally is expecting to get returns out of these structures that they have set up.
When we did the first press conference, that's about COVID, we analyzed the situation. How people come to the office, representation in court, people have, parents, children to school, stopped, food on the table, not easy. So it's there to say, people, our tenants and landlords, let us reason together, and they stopped for 3 months. It was okay because we consulted a lot, even went to our banks. And then we told our banks, please, you have to stop the interest increment to those guys who are having loans, so that at least we observe and see what is this about COVID. Right now, Linda, in this country, people have problems because of political instability. We have not aligned ourselves in terms of leadership and allocation of resources, jobs, and that space of job market. We don't have that. We have not come to that level. So all the time, every touched, you find issues here and there. People don't manage to pay their rent. Water is disconnected, electricity. So the conflict around tenancy is so paramount. So we said, now, how can we reduce these things? And try to bring a solution that is very permanent. We said, number one, we want to create a platform where we are going to have deposits, all deposits, to be deposited in a trust.
So if I'm going to
If you are doing, maybe you are a tenant and you are renting your premise, the deposit is not supposed to go to the landlord.
Hold it. Before you even explain that
Yes,
concept,
yes,
which
yes.
could be quite a good solution.
Yes.
This concern of deposits, most of the people will ask
Yes,
you,
yes.
do you have intentions of as well having conversations where there's going to be a standardized, approach to it? Not necessarily rate, because, well, we all know structures are charged differently. But there are instances where you go to, try and rent a house, you're told you have to pay 2 months deposit. There are some people who will tell you it's 1 month deposit. There are some who will tell you it has to be 3 months deposit. Some of them will even go ahead and tell you have to pay for the legal fees, And the lease agreements are quite, dicey, so to speak. Do you have intentions of making sure that we have a standard approach to this?
If you analyze properly, Landlords and Tenants Act, Cap 296 and 301, it stipulates the guideline, the standards.
Right.
This kind of list is being prepared by our lawyers now concerning, or maybe pertaining the instructions of maybe landlords or their clients. Sometimes it's never add up. What we are appealing to Kenyans, and more so the legal fraternity, let us follow law. When somebody crafts a lease agreement or a contract, must be based in the Landlords and Tenants Act. So we are appealing the government. That's why we want this bill at least to be finalized, so that we can standardize everything. So the issue of paying deposit 3 months, 2 months is not supposed to be there. There is a standard. It's 1 month deposit. It's 1 month deposit, and those things are in the Cap 296 and 301.
Right.
People don't follow that.
Right.
Our lawyers, we are advising them at least when maybe a client wants to give instructions on how you can craft the agreement, kindly advise our clients, advise our landlords to stipulate everything basing on the caps that we have.
Right.
That's going to reduce the conflict. Now, when we talk about reducing conflicts, like now deposit, landlords, they feel they own deposit, of which it's not supposed to be like that. We have come with a very good concept that we have we benchmarked from UK. On deposits. This is
and you said it's Cap 296. I need to get that.
Yes.
301.
Now, 301 is all about businesses, and
Cap Landlords, Tenants. I have it Cap 301.
Yes. Now, when we talk about the deposits, this is where the conflict is, and that's why we have come up with a solution to this country. After benchmarking and trying to analyze what's supposed to be done, we said we must create a trust. The trust is going to save all these deposits from all landlords in the country. So a tenant has to deposit his or her deposit in that trust. Once the deposit is done in that trust, it's going to do some investment is going to be done, so that at least end year there's something, an interest. That's a dividend to a tenant or a landlord. The reason why we are doing that, even the landlords, they are going to have that obligations to visit that trust and request for a loan. This issue of landlords taking deposits for their own, they use their own, maybe for security reasons. I don't know what it's all about. It's not going to add up, because a landlord feels funny when returning or referring the deposit. That's where the conflict. Maybe there's electricity, there's water, there's power, painting of the house, renovation, all this. They usually calculate funny. At the end of the day, you find a tenant losing the entire deposit. So we are trying to reduce that conflict, so that landlords, tenants, let them own this trust. We are announcing it on October. We have negotiated with banks. We have negotiated with the insurance. You can imagine, for the first time, Linda, a tenant who has issues in terms of paying rent, we are going to sort it out. How are we going to sort it out? The deposit that is in that trust, we have the insurance. The insurance is going to come in to take care of that finances, so that when a tenant fails to pay rent, or there's a delay,
with a valid reason,
the insurance is going to cover for 3 months rent. And on the other side of the landlord is not going to experience any delay forever. Immediately, the 10th, which is the maximum date,
the landlord has to receive the money, whether the tenant has money or no money.
Okay.
So long as this tenant is a member and he has deposited the deposit in that trust.
So they're given about 3 months to get themselves
to get
back.
themselves back to the normalcy.
Right.
So these are the solutions that we need, and we support the president because he's come up with the ICT and innovations. These are the ideas that are supposed to support housing sector, so that at least we reduce conflicts, people live in harmony, and we develop Kenya.
Okay.
Yes.
Right, that is quite interesting an approach, and we certainly hope that, well, that can come to effect.
Yes.
Based on the kind of, explanation that you are giving to us. So there are a lot of effects to some of these conflicts that we witness today. Why do you suppose that the mitigation approach could be the best approach? Because most of the people will say that I am right. After all, I paid 3 months, deposit. I think I deserve to get this. So most likely they would want to go the court way as opposed to mitigation. And when it gets to the court way, what there is a guarantee that there's going to be some aspect of mitigation, because at this point, then you have literally introduced animosity and bad blood.
Okay, maybe I'd say within, when it comes to conflicts, it's only maybe about 5% of cases proceed to court level and all that. As an association, we handle majority of the cases that we have. Actually, 80%
mitigation
we are able,
stage,
yes, we are able to, let me say, dialogue through to get a solution on that. But you see, again, in most cases, it just goes back to the law.
Yeah.
You realize that maybe the landlord or maybe the caretaker has locked the door. So when we tell him that that is wrong, then he or she realizes that, oh, I was not supposed to do like that.
Yeah.
So of course they open the door, and then down they agree on now how am I going to get my money, and of course the tenant also has to state on when he's gonna clear his rent arrears or something sort. So majority of these cases we are able to handle them out of court. But of course, for those who think that maybe they'll not follow the law, they don't want to listen and all that, these are now some of the people that, some of the cases that now we take over to the tribunal court for it to handle, and maybe sometimes commercial courts. And again now, when it gets to those rogue tenants who do not want to pay rent and all that, now of course again within the law, there's now the eviction process.
Right.
That you cannot do it unless you get orders from the court.
Right.
Again, we also have issues where tenants are not able to pay their rent. They're maybe in arrears of 6 months, 1 year, or 2 years. Now, the only way that the landlord can actually get back his money is again through the same law, maybe going through the auctioneers, maybe to come and see what they can be able to take for them to be able to recover their rent or some sort. So basically, I think it's just very important that people can be able to sit down and agree on solving those kind of conflicts. Because again, when you understand, again, going to court, that's another extra expense that you'll have to spend.
Right.
So it's normally a bit difficult because number one, you do not have money to pay. You've defaulted to pay rent, and then
you can't go through the legal process.
Again,
which is expensive.
you still need more money. So instead of going to court, why don't you reduce your arrears or some sort? Yeah. But in most cases, we always advise people to basically just stay within the dialogue forum instead of proceeding to court and all that. But again, we think that now moving forward, if you're going to create this kind of awareness and all that for people to know, especially on issues to do with how do I get into a house, what am I supposed to do, what are the documents am I supposed to have before getting into renting a house, to definitely be able to reduce some of these conflicts, and we'll stay harmoniously,
I agree,
honestly, between landlords and tenants.
Well, fair enough. You mentioned something to do with CAP. You said it's 301.
CAP 301,
301, which speaks to business premises.
Yes.
Very important that we speak to the matters of business. And most of the people will tell you, it is your ambition to set up a business at some point in time. It is my ambition that at least with the little money that I make out of employment, you think of now how can you make that extra coin? How can you acquire yourself a business premise?
Sure.
Yeah.
There's quite a dicey, conversation revolving around that. Just how much are these tenants who are taking structures for, for commercial purposes protected, but equally, just how are the, the landlords that have actually set up their structures for, for purposes of commercial protected as well?
Yeah. In business premises also there are standards.
Yeah.
There is law, there are standards per square feet. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
On that area of maybe how much, there's no issue. Where there is issue is about goodwill. And I'm just appealing to all landlords.
And it's very common today.
It's very common.
Yeah.
This goodwill must come to an end.
Why? Is it not legally?
It's not legal. It's not anywhere. It's not anywhere. It's just a negotiation that, I've been in this business, I want to hand over. The goodwill is that there's nowhere in law. So it has to come to an end. That's why we're here.
Right.
The reason we are saying it must come to a stop, you find young people want to venture into businesses. Maybe you have 2 million, 1,500,000. Then you have gotten a stall. This stall, when you want to maybe to acquire, you are told the rent is 45,000 and the goodwill is 1 million. How do you expect this young person to develop? He has maybe a capital of 500,000.
Yeah.
Then the goodwill is 1 million.
1 million.
Where is he going to get this, or she going to get all these things? So it has come to an end. I'm appealing to all Kenyans, that is landlords and tenants, more so tenants. Kindly come to Landlords and Tenants Association of Kenya, be members, and we are bringing down that goodwill thing, so that at least let us focus on doing business, focus on paying rent, so that at least we can develop this Kenya. This issue of goodwill, we are just trying to find all avenues, legal way and a mediation way, so that we can stop it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. We come back after this short break to understand some more on what would be, a lasting solution, the key things that you have touched on, as regards to, of course, the deposits.
Yes.
I think most of the Kenyans would want to understand that. Is this a route we can, approach or exhaust, or is this an angle we can go to? And then we are guaranteed that, well, we're not going to have these fights of, oh, you have refused with my deposit, I can't step out, I am going to stay in this house courtesy of my deposit. It's a lot of confusion, but at the same time, just how important it is for us to set up this insurance structure.
Sure.
Then we'll take care of the needs of the tenants and at the same time, the landlords. Allow us to take a quick short break, gentlemen. We come back to that.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, and welcome back to the broadcast. Earlier on, I had indicated that we'd cross over to Kakamega County to have a discussion with the people of Kakamega. A bit of a technical hitch, so apologies of the same. So we won't be crossing over to Kakamega, but certainly tomorrow we'll get to hear their views as to what is happening in the country. But remember, the discussion of the moment is about the rights and the responsibilities of tenants and as well landlords. With us, representatives from the Landlords and Tenants Association. Right here is the chairperson, Joachim Ombui, as well as Ben Liali, who's the Secretary General. And we have touched on some of the matters that are of concern to the people. I know there's so much that we can touch on, but we can only do this step by step. This is because we value how important it would be for us to have peaceful coexistence. So the few things that we'll be able to touch on, well and good. Some of them that we won't touch on, we will touch on some other time. So we come back to understanding, the question of, leases. I think we have touched on that and how there needs to be a creation of balance, whether it's for commercial purposes or it's just for people to own, houses and all that. We come back again to understand some more on this question of deposits, because most of the people will tell you that they have difficulty in this. And this is basically out of a message I have received. One of them says that we would love to understand some more on the plans of making sure that there's some aspect of insurance and of importance. There's a balance on how, there's payment of deposits, because most of the Kenyans will tell you they have struggled on the question of deposit. Perhaps to you, SG, to unpack it some more. Okay,
the issue, I would say every Kenyan, adult Kenyan, if you ask him about the issue of deposit, they'll tell you one or another, they never got back their deposit somehow.
Right.
Or if they got the deposit back, maybe only 10% or 20%. And then this is an issue that will always come at hand whenever someone is exiting, because when you move into another house, you expect back the deposit. But then you realize again, on the side of the landlord, they don't have that money to pay you because they
used it
for
certainly.
some other. Yes, of course, they take it as their pocket money.
Right.
Now, as an association, we say that we're introducing a rent deposit trust fund. It's going to be launched in October during the Landlords Summit, and it will be the first time that Kenyans will have to pay deposit only once in a lifetime.
Okay.
You can only increase it or reduce it depending on where you're moving to.
Okay.
Or probably you're going to your house.
So it's once in a lifetime?
Yes,
so
once in a lifetime.
Nice.
Exactly.
So when you're moving to this house that is bigger and deposit is more, then you can adjust upwards.
Exactly.
Okay.
And if you end up owning your own house, you definitely get the refund back, or maybe you can transfer it to your child or some sort. Now, it will also be the first time that every year we'll be able to tabulate dividends for the
same deposit.
So at least a tenant will be able to earn dividends from his or her deposit at the end of the year.
Okay.
Now, on the side of the landlord, again, still be the same, because now landlord have different, or maybe probably quite a number of tenants who definitely be depositing with us.
Yeah.
So they'll also be able to take loans from banks using that one as collateral. Yes, especially when it comes to renovations, and maybe probably they want to expand their business. So both parties are going to benefit. Now, this one is going to benefit our members. We're going to start with our members first. Now, some of other benefits that we'll have for when people deposit the deposit within the trust fund is that, number one, landlords will be able to ask tenants who are coming in if they are members of Landlords and Tenants Association of Kenya.
Okay.
Because it's only those landlords who are members who will actually agree tenants to deposit their money with us, and then they can be able to get those benefits that we're talking about. The same thing again with the tenants who also are members. When they are moving out to different houses or maybe premises, then of course we'll only be able to let them occupy houses belonging to landlords who are members of the association. So basically, we're going to end this issue of people claiming that they've not gotten their refund, their deposit back.
Okay.
Yes.
There's another foreign thing that has been introduced about utility. Not so foreign, has been there in existence, where you're told now rent is this amount of money, but now you have to pay 6,000 extra for utility to ensure the cleanliness and all that. Just how legit is this, and how should it be, standardized somehow?
Linda, Kenyans, I don't understand why a tenant wants to rent a house somewhere. There are procedures. You go and visit that house, go through the house, bedrooms, sittings, as it is. Then request appraisal form from the landlord.
Yeah.
Let the landlord produce a document that it talks the history, or that has the history of that house.
All right.
Once you go through it, check it. That's under 3 principles. I think I told you. That is a entry, stay,
The principles,
and,
you
and
have
exit.
not told us.
Yeah. Now,
yeah.
during the entry time,
Yes.
this is the time the tenant and the landlord, they have obligations, they have rights. I'm a landlord, this is my house, this is the regulations.
Right.
The rent is supposed to be paid this time, this is the lease. Go through that lease, go through the history of that house so that you understand this issue of utilities.
Okay.
And the tenant has a right, obligations to say no, I request for amendment in this lease.
Okay.
I don't want this, but I need the house. So can we talk from that point?
Yeah.
Yes. You amend it. Then you take the house. The issue of utilities, maybe they're parking, I don't know what, security, all these things. It's normal. They're there.
Right.
But you have to agree from the day one. Go to the house, let the landlord introduce everything, all the services to you as a new tenant.
Yes.
You agree or you disagree. You might disagree for the amendment, or you just leave the house. So those issues of maybe bring some complications is not adding up.
All right.
So we are trying to emphasize clearly to our tenants.
Okay.
Let us be procedural. Let us know how steps on how to get a house, be social to your landlord or maybe the agents. Let us have all the information around this sector so that when you make a decision, you don't come back to regret.
In the
Yes,
position.
yes.
And these principles are very important for us to
Yeah, yeah.
understand. Entry, stay,
Yeah.
exit in tenancy.
When you come to a new house, maybe you want to entry, that is entry.
Yeah.
There are things that you have to consider. How much is the rent, the security around that area, how is the house, what is this lease, there are forms that the landlord is supposed to produce for you to fill. All these things you are supposed to know at the entry level.
Yeah.
Once you certify and maybe you get certification, then now you sign documents, you pay rent, then you agree. And in this entry, a tenant has right to get a copy
Yeah.
of the contract. Most of the tenants coming to the office, they say, I was shown, I was shown like this, and they took the
And they
lease. I
signed
don't
and
understand
they gave
what,
it back to them.
they don't give back. Also the receipts, all these things, you make sure have copies
Of the receipts.
of the receipts
Upon payment,
upon
always.
payment always. If you don't, that's your mistake. You
Does
ask.
a message, equate to being a receipt?
Yes.
For instance, a message now, I think
Yeah.
of that. All right.
That message is not enough.
Okay.
How do you acknowledge official receipt
Okay,
of that?
receipt. Okay.
You must have a receipt that, yes, I received this
Your payment?
payments on this month rent or whatever. That's all. You keep it in your file. So that because these conflicts, the issue arises the time that you are not even aware. You must have the file, have the copy of the list, receipts, and then you proceed to stay.
Okay.
Then when you come to stay, principal, this is where you stay. As a tenant, you have right to manage that house. If there are some discourse or some maybe repairs needed, do it.
You're allowed to.
Yeah, do it under the permission of the landlord. Make sure during your stay, the house is kept to that best standard. You get. Try to make relationship with the tenant, the caretaker. Make sure that harmony is there in that stay. From there, you come to an exit. Exit, this is where the problem is.
Hold it a minute. There are people who deal with agents. I have been with someone who told me I have never seen my landlord. It is always an agent. Is that okay as well?
It's okay.
It's fine.
It's okay.
For as long as
but you have a right as a tenant to request.
Ask.
Ask in writing or ask maybe. And there's something we wanted to introduce with the Secretary General, that in every maybe quarterly, a landlord has a right, because these are the clients. This is where gets some,
money.
the money.
Yeah.
So at least have meetings with your tenants to give suggestions, opinions, what's supposed to be done.
Okay.
Do we have good security? Do we have water? What is it? Nuisance in the neighborhood? What you discuss? You can even have parties. You can sit and discuss and see, I want to reduce, I want to increase, I want to do ABCD. So landlords, they must have meetings with their tenants, not only the agents.
That's true.
And I'm requesting maybe agents, sometimes they just push so hard to tenants. Like now I have more than 2-3 cases today. Agents have gone to court, they have gotten the auctioneers, proclamation, whatever, they want to auction some around, they want to auction. This is not supposed to be like that. We are human. People mediate, people discuss, and tough times, this is the tough time we are right now. So we need people to understand. Agents, let them understand. And auctioneers, understand. Go talk to that tenant. Understand what are the reasons that has led to maybe defaults or delays. From there we can come to a conclusion. And that's why I support the former president said, don't evict. Just go and discuss your tenant.
Okay.
And that's what we want. So, during now exit. This is where the problem is. This is where people talk about deposits. This is where the landlord feels, I cannot give out the deposit. Let me now do inventory, the paints, the locks, the windows, so that I cannot refund the deposit. We have come to an end on that. So, during that exit, you must produce, as a tenant, you have to produce the form that you filled during your entry.
Okay.
The pictures that you took.
Okay.
The receipts.
Because it's important to take
It's very
pictures.
important.
All right.
So once you are at the exit, you give a notice that you want to move out. The deposit in that list, that I will give a notice that I will leave this house this period of time. Then in that list they usually say 1 month, which is okay. So you produce all those documents during the exit time. Come with the caretaker to do the inventory, all the landlord to do the inventory, all the agent. How is the house? The status of the house, what's supposed to be
Not for them to send a painter
and
tell you
not
the
to
painter
send the
has said
painter.
this.
And the obligation lies to the tenant to give money for anything that is supposed to be done in that house.
Okay.
Not to use that deposit.
Deposit, all right.
You get? So after the inventory has been done, you repair that house, and then you are given a clean bill of health. That the house is okay. The refund is supposed to be effected after 2-3 days.
Okay.
That's how we are going to solve this issue. But now, a tenant moves out, writes a notice after moving out, or even 2 days prior. It never adds up. That's where we have now. That's the loophole for the conflict.
Okay.
Follow laws. Make communication perfect between you and the landlord. When you are moving out, give a good notice. Let the landlord understand that. Let the landlord prepare your deposit. Let the landlord come and do the inventory. Once the inventory has been done, do all the repairs perfectly and they be given your deposit. But it never happens in this country.
Yeah.
Landlords, I've said with a lot of landlords, they say, Joachim, I ate money, I don't understand. Let him move out, a conflict. When now the tenant starts now asking for the deposit 2 months, I have many cases in small claims court. People, landlords, they don't refund. Agents, they eat money for our tenants. So this has to come to an end. So that is area of exit. A lot of problems in exit. But we are trying to tell our tenants, peruse your documents. Make sure you have a file. Don't live in somebody's house without a file. Document everything. So that at least when you are leaving, you have evidence. That's how it should be working.
Well put, and time is moving very fast. So I will not go into details of wanting to know how many members have registered with you, but of importance would be how do people get to register with you? What are the rules? Are there any payments that are supposed to be done? How do they go about it? Yeah.
Okay, of course, definitely, the association is a non-profit making, and some of the let me say administrative work are run by, through membership subscription. Of course, for a tenant, then they pay 1,200 per year.
Okay.
That's an equivalent of 100 shillings per month. And for the landlord, it's 2,400 per year.
Okay.
Or an equivalent of 200 shillings per month. Even though we have other levels of membership,
okay,
depending on how, in terms of assets, how big the landlord is.
Okay.
Exactly. And maybe how much a tenant is actually paying. And of course, it comes with its own benefits in terms of membership. We're also planning, actually on the same date when we'll be having the summit, that's the same day that we'll also be launching a recruitment drive, where now people can be able to actually actualize the payment, the membership payment. We'll definitely be running ads on TV, and of course, even in your TV or some sort of adverts that would actually make people to know how do I register to this kind of association. At the moment, we're just handling conflicts as they come in, of course, through our social media and, of course, through our numbers that we're going to give out to the viewers. Basically, and we're controlling about 50 to 60,000 members countrywide, and we handle all cases from across the country. And basically, you do not have to come to the office for you to be
assisted?
Yes, we do. We take advantage of the digital online space, to be able to reach out to our members who are in.
So it doesn't matter where you are in the country.
Exactly. We do everything on. Emails and maybe WhatsApp.
Right.
Yes, okay. And actually 90% of the cases that we handle, of course, they always come to a solution. Yes.
And that's good. So how do they get to see you, the social media platforms, maybe the official numbers? Yeah.
I wanted to add something on it.
Yes, please.
Viewers, and this is landlords and tenants across Kenya, insurance is very important in our lives. So we are in consolidation with the CIC and many other insurances. Once we launch this program, you are requested, you will be taken through the insurance package on premiums, so that at least whenever you miss to pay rent, the insurance is going to cover you. So keep in touch. I know TV47. We even had a meeting, executive meeting. We said we must do our partnership and also maybe adverts, so that at least Kenyans can have that information clear. Issue of the office. We have many offices, Ben. If you see an police station that is led by the OCS. Okay. That is our office. We work hand in hand. We work hand in hand. That is in 47 counties. If you see any assistant chief or chief anywhere, because they handle these things, that is our office. Now, official offices, our office, we have about 2 legal law firm offices in town. That is in Nairobi. Though we have countrywide, we have networks of lawyers. If it's in Kisii, Kisumu, whenever the issue is, it's supposed to be sorted there. Yeah. In Nairobi town, we have FIPAC Towers, 19th floor. If you come to 19th floor, that's the Robert Amtara and Company Advocates. That's our office. That's where we handle legal matters. Right. If you go to Popman House, Sapulon Mokua and Company Advocates, that's where we usually handle other matters pertaining legal. Yeah. And then you come to the head office, where we sit. It's along Haile Selassie Avenue, Mang Building, first floor. You will see a very long Landlords and Tenants sign. Just come there, ask. And in terms of social media, Kenyans are so much advanced. Just Google Landlords and Tenants, Association of Kenya, you get everything there. Then our numbers, they're there 0706 074 793. Then the other one is 0786998874. You will not miss us. You will reach us. We will settle your issues wherever you are. And during the summit, we are asking His Excellency the President. We have Labor Day, Jamhuri Day. We have all these days. Housing sector has been forgotten. Totally. So we are requesting. We have done a petition. We have done our plans. We want Tenancy Day in Kenya. This is where people will come from all walks of life discussing housing and the tenancy issues. policies so that at least we can align this sector. There is a lot of problem. And number 3, government, please, if you go around in Nairobi or other cities, we don't get services. Landlords don't get services from the government. That's a very evident. If you go to Kirinyaga, you go to even, I want to give you a very good example. Go to Kenyatta Avenue, Junction Moi Avenue, there's a supermarket. Naivas supermarket. Is it Naivas?
Yeah.
Supermarket. You find there's a street there. These street boys, they sit there, they do some fans, whatever. Hapo wameweka mali imekuwa chafu. And we are in town. So what is the work of county government? Okay, go to Odeon Cinema behind. Du Bois, those areas, go down to Kirinyaga. You cannot imagine. It's terribly bad. And you are telling me county government is working. Our landlords are suffering. If our landlords maybe say they don't want to pay rates, it's good. Let the government come out, support our people. Space, drainage system, cleanness, water, everything. So that our landlords, when they are paying, they feel that they are getting services. So that is what I can say, that Tenancy Day, please, Your Excellency the President, give us that day so that at least we can champion this sector of housing. And number 3, in Kibera, I've given a very good example. Your Excellency, you know, I'm just appealing to His Excellency. Let us sit on the table. Me, I have a solution how we can develop Kibera within 2 years.
Is it?
How we can develop shanties all over Kenya in the period of two years. The investors are there, developers are there waiting, and the tenants, 18 million tenants, they are there waiting to start owning homes, rent to own, transforming tenants to landlords. And that is the president supposed to do it. The affordable housing scheme is not coming out clear because no consolidation. People, the synergies, we have not come together as the whole. We have not gotten the summit of the landlords, the tenants, the associations, so that we can fine-tune what is supposed to be done on this. That one will solve this problem of housing in Kenya. Incredible. Gentlemen, that's all the time that we had. We are looking forward to have you some more. It's a conversation that we cannot exhaust in one day. But equally, we agree it's a conversation that we must have. And of importance is that you do not have to wait until trouble looms around you for you to get to know what the Act say, for you to get to know how you can handle this. I think it's important that we get enlightened at an early stage. That way, as the Secretary General would say, then we'll evade most of these troubles, or we'll run away from all these troubles that linger with us today. Last speaker, Joachim Omboi, the chairperson of the Landlord and Tenants Association. Thank you so much for speaking to us. As well, the Secretary General, Landlords and Tenants Association of Kenya. We close it at this very point. We hope to have you some other time.